back. Again, we got Greg Smith from Marty's Flooring America. And we were talking about laying hardwood floors and the fact that some of the floors have to have a seam in them, but here in Santa Clarita, the fluctuation in the humidity is somewhat not as noticeable as in other areas, so we're able to get away with less expansion joints, right?
Yes, sir. The industry standard is you need to have a half-inch of expansion on each end of the flooring for every 30 feet covered. But that doesn't take into the fact that we live in Santa Clarita, which is a very, very dry and stable environment. Even in the winter, it doesn't fluctuate. Even when it rains, we have more humidity, but when it's dry, it's dry. And so we don't have a big issue with that. So we're able to put longer expanses with less expansion. Which makes it good because we can do things with the floor that you don't have unsightly reducers and trim in between.
Okay, now this is something I may have talked about before, but with hardwood, usually the people that are upgrading their floors want to do their base molding at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple ways to do that. I like to put my base molding on top of hardwood, then we don't have a cord around.
I agree with that. And it's a much nicer, cleaner finish. But there are situations where I went into a house a couple weeks ago and they had just had somebody come through and put some 7-inch decorative, beautiful base
wow.
molding that had it custom painted by mint condition painting.
Yeah, that must have been Hanco then, our buddy.
And it was beautiful. And she said, "Can you take this off and put it back on?" And I said, "No."
Yeah.
We added a small matching shoe molding to it. The painter came back in, touched it in, and it was a nice finish to the existing baseboard. That doesn't always work, but there's situations where that's where it's much more cost-effective, time-effective, and less pain and heartache for them to take off base. They just spend a fortune.
So you agree with me on that. That's
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit of a problem I have with it once in a while is where when you use the distress wood, the undulated type pre-finished woods,
Mm-hmm.
you actually get a little bit of you can see the shadow line at the base.
You get some gaps, but that's where a good painter comes in.
Yeah.
Nothing a little caulking can't fix down there.
Yeah. I particularly don't like it, but there's no way around it.
No, there isn't.
Unless you put the base in a shoe.
Yeah, unless
And
you
the
want to
shoe's
pay
not-
somebody to describe that molding in each
Yeah,
piece.
that's not gonna
But it's not going to happen. Yeah.
All right, so then the next one I like to talk about, because I had let's just say, extended conversation with the fireman in the summit when we put down a marble floor, and he wanted a base on top of it, and we laid that thing flat as flat can be. But still, the floor isn't perfect. As flat as we laid it, you could still see the shadow lines.
Mm-hmm.
So I always recommend putting the base in and then grouting to you just have to cut the tile more carefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the tile is what it is, and even if you do a tight joint, smooth finish, you still have some undulations in the tile. The problem with that is if you use the grout material, it is good because it matches the rest of the lines, but it will eventually crack.
Mm-hmm.
I think a colored grout caulking or a matching caulking is usually a better fix for that, unless it's large holes, and
Yeah,
that's always a problem.
Yeah, we do that. We do the colored caulking when we do the splashes, where the splash meets the countertop.
Because of the movement, you need
Yeah.
something that's flexible, right?
So there you have it. That's a couple tips. Now, we just did a floor out in Porter Ranch. I try to stay in Santa Clarita because people in Santa Clarita know that they want to keep the business in town, and I can manage my crews a lot better by not having to drive too far. So I have to have somebody assigned to go out there because I'm not going out to the valley every day.
Yep.
So anyway, go ahead, pick up there. Well, you do pretty much all over.
Yeah, as far as going out of the area, I've been in this business long enough that I have clients from San Diego to
so you're busy.
Sacramento. I don't necessarily travel to Sacramento for work, but I just recently did a job in Santa Barbara.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got some going out in the Covina or the Inland Empire area right now. It is a lot of travel, but when the clients call, you got to go.
And you have to have good guys because when you
Yep.
send them out, like I said, this one in Porter Ranch, this floor is flat. These tiles are 20 inches and they are flat, and the floor is off, and, you know, we had to float the floor before we set the
Mhm.
tile. It was up an inch in some places.
Mhm.
And I can't run out there every day to check it, so fortunately, we got good guys, right? And they do a good job making sure that it's flat all the way. And then, of course, you guys always leave the doors off because they won't close it.
I think that's an important thing you brought up there, though. The difference between level and flat. We've walked into jobs where people says, "Are you going to make my floor level?" Most likely not. Most houses are not level.
Right.
Level would meaning that the bubble would hit right in the middle. Most houses slant one way or the other. I can make your floor flat, but making it level is a different story. To level a house is very, very difficult, and it would take a lot of money and materials to do so. Making a floor flat is what we're looking for. We're looking for a consistent flatness so that we don't have bumps and dips and
Yeah.
waves and things of that nature.
Yeah, this lady happened to have a issue with lifting her feet up all the way, so she kind of drug her feet a little closer to senior age, but
Mhm.
had hurt herself, and so she could feel every little bump in the grout. So I had
Mhm.
to make sure, and we had tight joints. So on a 20-inch or bigger, or even 18, 16-inch,
Mhm.
like marble, granite, or perfectly, what do they call that flat, rectified tile,
Mhm.
you have to be perfectly flat, and you have to follow that line all the way to
Mhm.
the last doorway and the last wall, don't you?
There is definitely a difference between a tile guy and a real tile setter. A real tile setter comes in and they level that tile and build it up and butter the backs and set it until that tile is right. A normal guy, maybe somebody you might pick up at one of the local corners or one of the box stores, they're going to come in and just stick a spacer in and stick that tile right down on
But
the
then you have
concrete.
lippage. We don't
You've
want
got lippage,
lippage.
you've got wavy floors. It just depends on what you want to, what you expect in your home. There are definitely a difference in tile setters and tile people.
So, anyway, those of you that are concerned or have that sense of discretion and the quality, you probably want to make sure that your agreement is specified flat. You want it flat.
Mhm.
Okay, we're going to take a break again. This is Randall Winter with Randall Winter Construction here in Santa Clarita. It's hometown station AM 1220 KHTS.